are you doing? This is David Brooks, the Cadillac Counselor, and I am hanging out with a family member and friend and just somebody who can literally tolerate my children. So that is always a great thing. So to be honest, whenever I came on and I really started doing these types of tapings, I was really always kind of looking for people that had, some type of mental health or somebody doing something in the community that could ultimately get people motivated to do something different in life. So whenever me and my wife were talking and Andrea was doing a Zoom with my family, I started to think kind of a lot about her life, and so she'll explain to you, but she ultimately just graduated college, really started up in her life, like her life had cranked up in the acting business, and then all of a sudden she got a really good role, and then all of a sudden the corona happened and literally they shut everything down. So we're going to be talking to her about that kind of stuff, like how does it feel to graduate and then fall into the COVID, and then kind of just how she's dealing with everything and the loss of being in her field. And so we'll just do some talking. The one thing that I do want to add is that we are giving away a $50 gift certificate today. And so with this is to Glad Chuck Brothers Restaurant in Frederick. And they have an appetizer there that is a macaroni ball with bacon, and it's something that you might want to try out. So in order to win this today, these are the rules. So ultimately, I need you to tell me, and I want you to greet my new dog. So if you know the name of my new dog, I want you to leave a comment. And if you leave a comment with a greeting to my dog, then I will make sure that you get in the drawing for this gift card. So we have some different things coming down the pipeline, and especially I'm talking with Pumpernickel and Rye, and we're going to think about some of the different restaurants that we can get back. So if you know a restaurant that is willing to give something away, we will give it away on this taping. So tell them to get a hold of me, or whatever your business is. If there's something that you would like to give to the community, I will be more than glad to transfer that over to be talking to Andrea. All right. So Andrea, tell them a little bit about who you are and what's kind of going on in your life right now.
Yeah, hi. My name's Andrea. I live in Philadelphia right now, so I'm a Philadelphia-based actor as well as a teaching artist, meaning that I go to different schools or programs and I teach acting and other workshops of that kind of nature. I graduated from Drexel in 2018 with a degree in teaching and theater performance, so it's kind of a big, huge mesh on everything that I like to do. I love to teach, but I also really love to perform. So before COVID, I was in the middle of a production, so I was in rehearsals, and we had just opened a show that I had gotten my first big major role in that was paid, and it was a show that was really, really challenging. It wasn't something frilly and fun that I'm so used to doing. It was actually my first really serious role. In addition to that performance, I was also teaching with the Walnut Street Theater, which is a regional theater in Philadelphia, one of the oldest theaters in Philly. So I was teaching 2 to 3 classes per week at different elementary schools through an outreach program with the Walnut Street Theater that brings theater performance to lower income schools that don't usually have access to those kind of arts programming.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing pre-COVID. And that is all kind of turned on its head because all of those programs have now been shut down.
It's funny that you say, my first job that I got out of college when I graduated, I ended up being a theater arts teacher with speech and debate. And I am not an actor. I never really took acting. It's literally like I call like one of my fraternity brothers that's in acting, and I was like, give me everything that I need to know about a stage. And so I remember like the first year that we went on a competition, like a one act competition. Man, we were so horrible. People just were like, and the whole thing about it was I was teaching like in like a Title One school, so it was like all black
Yeah.
and Hispanic, and we went into a predominantly white, a white play. It was white kids everywhere, and then my group of kids, and we did a horrible job. So I learned everything I could learn in like 3 months, and then we went back and we ended up winning second place the next year. So
Hey.
yeah, so it's fun because a lot of times acting is not brought to that population. Like they bring the basketball, baseball, those sports, but they never bring acting. So how was that for you to teach that level? I mean, you're a professional actor now teaching children how to learn acting. How does that play out for you? How does that feel?
Yeah. So even before this past year, the program that I just spoke to you about, when I first graduated college, which was 2018, so I had a year before this year, I served 1 year with the AmeriCorps, and I was teaching with a program called Artist Year. That was basically a 1 year residency in a high school, a Title I high school, so the lowest income bracket in Philly, bringing arts education to the programming that was not there. So I was basically placed in a high school for a year to bring back theater programming because they hadn't had a musical in 8 or so years. So the year that I served with the AmeriCorps and was stationed at that high school, I brought a whole new programming to the school. We did our first musical in 8 years. We brought like acting classes and whatever I could. And even prior to that in Drexel, I had a lot of experience working with lower income schools because primarily the Philadelphia School District is full of Title I schools. It's just the nature of our school district in our area. So it's really something that I felt comfortable with. And in terms of tying that into theater, it was definitely something that I had noticed early on in my like school and teaching career that school districts didn't really care about, not because they didn't love the arts, but it's not something that brings the money, right? So sports programs are also things that when you get communities involved, people donate, and you can get more money out of that if your school district goes far in baseball finals or whatever. So those programs are always put before the arts programs because even like a flourishing flourishing art program like isn't really going to bring a lot of money into the school district, and so that's a deficit that I see in the entire school district of Philadelphia. So bringing arts programming into these schools for me really means just giving them an outlet, right? I don't care if my students really, really love to act, if it's something that's really deep in their soul, but the act of creating the art and the act of like becoming another character or really digging deep into a character's emotions isn't just about the production. It's more so about how they see themselves in the character and really kind of getting them to think about themselves and how they're feeling and checking themselves. And I've seen it in front of my own eyes, like the kids that are always deemed as the bad kids or the rowdy kids or the kids that have trauma but like they're mean to the teachers, like all these really negative things academically really thrive working in theater or in ceramics or in their arts class because it's the way to express themselves. So for me it was just okay, I don't even care if they do a monologue correctly, I want to give them these tools and see what kind of benefit they can draw from it. And I've working with my students, I was just recently working with younger students, but I'm primarily a high school programming artist.
Yeah.
So I work a lot with 9th through 12th graders, and the insane opportunities and the way that they take on that work really opens up like their hearts and their minds. And I've seen a lot of kids really thrive through that kind of expression.
So, I know that you said that you had all of this kind of stuff going, and a lot of the people that are watching the show, they have mental health issues or they have substance issues. Whenever you look at how you have had to change your life and how it was going, do you ever see any type of things within the mental health, your mental health, that that
Oh, for sure.
sometimes pops up. So explain
Yeah.
what that looks like.
I graduated college, I'd never been to therapy, I'd never really experienced anything mental health wise until I graduated. It was kind of that thing of, what do I do now? Am I good at anything? Did I spend the last 4 years doing nothing? And so I only started going to therapy to try to figure out like what came next, and I was really kind of lost. And now I've been in therapy for a year, and I just felt like I was really starting to unpack like the way that I am, some of the self-destructive behaviors that I have, and like the trauma that I have, which is not saying that I have all this big trauma, but everybody has a little bit of trauma. So being in therapy for a year, I finally felt like I was really getting a grasp of it. And along with that, I started getting more of these opportunities that I've really been working super hard for with acting and teaching. So over the course of that year, I really felt like I was gaining my own ground. I'd now been a year and a half out of college. I started to understand more of the way that my brain works and the things that make me upset, and the reasons sometimes I'll feel like I'm a little depressed or whatever. So I really felt like I started to dig my teeth in and create a foundation of a career for myself. And then COVID happened, which was something that I didn't realize affected me as much as it did. Because when it happened, it was, no one really took it seriously, and you're like, oh, it's fine, like it'll be over in 2 weeks, right? And it had only been when my show the last weekend had gotten canceled because of COVID. And I was like, oh, this is kind of serious, but maybe it's not as bad. And then it just rapidly kept getting worse and worse and worse. And for a little bit in the beginning of the COVID crisis, I felt like everything that I had built up for the past year and a half, like, was just kind of taken away from me, which really was not a good experience mentally. And it's something that I've been kind of getting better at through therapy, because I still see my therapist once a week. She's a blessing. And she's still seeing clients only once a week, but it's like very limited. And had I not continued to go to therapy, I think it would have affected me a lot worse. But it's something that I had to keep reassuring myself that like everybody is experiencing this, and everybody is experiencing this kind of really big loss. And just because you would build this foundation pre-COVID-19 does not mean that it's taken away from you from, the rest of your life, right? We're going to live a different reality at the end of this pandemic, but it doesn't mean that all of the work that I put in pre-COVID-19 is now I have to start from scratch, because we're going to be in a completely different world after this pandemic is over. So that's something that's kind of helped me reassure myself, but it's definitely been hard.
With my clients, a lot of times I you can prepare for a lot of things, especially with mental health and substance, because it's pretty traumatic. Like it will happen, and you can see the problem start to happen, and then you can kind of jump in front of it. But with this one, we were kind of working on a whole lot of other issues in people's
Yeah.
lives, and then all of a sudden it was like we're gonna close, and I'm like, I don't know, let's ride this out. And then like the next week it was like, no, definitely everybody isolation. So everybody didn't get a chance to really discuss these things with their therapist. And so
Mm-mm.
whenever now it's like we're trying to catch people now, because people are falling off, and we're trying to find where they're at, who, because some people had housing issues, so let's talk about this. So a lot of times when you lose all of these things, and you were in the process of building your life, so now we have a lack of income that's coming your direction. How did that part play out as being a young, just recent graduate of college? How is that playing with you financially?
Yeah. So it's still kind of an ongoing thing I'm dealing with. I'm really fortunate for the life that I have right now. I know a lot of people are struggling a lot more than I am. I am lucky enough that I qualified for unemployment, and that I was able. I live in Pennsylvania because I live in Philly. PA is really a mess right now with unemployment. However, I I had gotten unemployment, like I'd signed up for it like right when it started. So I'm lucky enough to be, I think there's maybe, this is probably a really wrong statistic, so I'm not even going to spout this statistic, but I know there's a really small amount of people that are eligible for unemployment that are actually receiving it right now. And I'm one of those people, which I'm really fortunate to be. I just happened to get lucky and hop on the bus right away. I also, I share an apartment with my partner. We've been together for almost 3 years, and one of our roommates, and he received the stipend, and our rent is kind of being subsidized because our landlord isn't trying to make money off of us right now. So he's like, hey, I can't cancel rent right now, but I can lower it because I just need to pay my mortgage. So as long as you can cover what my mortgage, because he usually pays his mortgage out of our rent and then makes a little bit of money off of it.
Yeah.
But as of right now, he's like, I can't subsidize that completely, but I can lower it. So it's just my mortgage. Like, I know it's hard. So I'm in a really fortunate situation. I know a lot of people that are struggling way, way worse with rent issues, with housing issues, with childcare, with medical expenses that are still like their prescriptions they need to pay. Luckily, also student loans are a little on the back end right now because of interest rates stopping and everything. So I am more fortunate on that side of it, things. But in terms of the way it affects my projection and what happens next, I have no clue. But also the theater community in Philadelphia is really close-knit, and the people that I look up to and the performers that I know in my mind are successful are still in the same place that I am. We're all kind of doing online virtual readings and getting to know each other, and I'm actually making a lot of connections through that virtual community that I wouldn't have made in the first place. So it's just honestly taking it one day at a time and knowing that everyone's just trying their best and nothing's going to look the same. And it hurts some days, and some days it feels not as bad. So it's kind of a day-by-day thing.
So, what I would tell you is that don't lose your passion. And as long as you don't lose the passion, and I don't think you will ever lose your passion, because I remember watching you as a young little girl growing up. You were always animated.
Yeah.
So I don't think you will ever lose that passion. So when all of this ends up lifting, just position yourself so that you are closer to the end goal. And I think that's the main thing for you is that if you are getting close to people that are in your industry, hustle, get them to know you, because the goal is not who you know, it's about who knows your name. And so if these people can recognize your name, then that's when you're winning. So keep doing all of that good work, and I'm excited to watch you just thrive. So everybody, this is Andrea, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys are keeping up with even the young people. And to be honest, this episode is more about looking at mental health from a different perspective. So many people think that you have to be down and out to suffer from mental health, but this is a college student who has everything going for her, and she still goes in and taps into that mental health to make sure that she is doing what she needs to do to be happy. So again, make sure I will be looking at the comments. Make sure that before this is over that you tell me exactly what my dog's name is, and if you do and say hi to him, I will make sure that this gift card, you are in the drawing for the gift card. So all right, so I just wanted to jump in, cut the video so that we can show you right now who won. So we are going to announce the 3 people who were on our live Facebook feed who put in that they knew the name of Louis. So we are going to announce the 3 people who are going to be in the drawing of the hat, and we are going to pick it right now.
Okay, we have Jamila. Here, I put the doggy down so you guys can see him. Jamila. Okay. Siobhan. And Rosie.
All right. And this is for the $50 at Glad Chuck Brothers Restaurant. So it's a $50 gift card for anybody. All right.
Okay.
Wait, babe, you gotta shake it a little.
I did. All right.
Rosie.
All right. So Rosie won, and we will be contacting you to get your $50 in the mail. So thank you. It's good to see everybody, and it is the Cadillac Counselor, David Brooks, and I am with Andrea. Take it easy, Andrea. It was good to see you, and I hope everybody enjoys the taping today. All right. So good seeing everybody. Bye bye.